How's it going, folks? Welcome to the video. Today we're going to talk about 3 of my most awkward moments. These are going to range from, like, to... Oh, that's pretty bad. Yeah. You know, I probably need to start rehearsing my reactions. I'm not that good of an actor. But yeah, some of these moments are going to be probably nothing, but the last one, in my opinion, is pretty intense. It was pretty awkward, and I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, thinking about how awful it was. So my first video today, the one on the second Yahoo Answers question, am I good looking? Was very long, so I'm going to try and make this one shorter. It's also the reason I'm wearing the same t-shirt. Don't judge, please. Anyway, so let's start with the least awkward of the 3 moments. So I was on a train, I was coming home from college, and I was tired. It was summertime, I think, and you know when you end up sat beside someone who's just really chatty on public transport and they will not leave you alone? Like, they're not necessarily nasty, they're just too friendly. Like, come on, dude, like, just give me a second. Work me into the fact that you're trying to make friends here, like, don't just jump in with your life story. Lead me into it gently, because I don't want to know you, and I don't want to know you and then meet you, as opposed to meet you and then know you. If you get that Community reference, you're awesome and I love you. But yeah, so I was sitting next to this old guy on the train, and he was nice, but he did talk a lot. And about halfway home, he broke out the sandwiches, the tomato sandwiches, I remember very clearly, and he put a bottle of water like right beside the edge of the tray, and the train, the seat has like a tray that folds down, and he put that water bottle on the very edge, and I looked at it and I was like, that's gonna fall over at some point. It's probably not gonna land on me though. And yeah, he was talking, he was munching away, he was doing his thing, eating his tomato sandwiches, which are, they're kind of gross. They're so soggy. Who would eat that? Anyway, he eating his sandwiches, doing his thing, and still kind of half talking to me. And that was when, of course, the train decided to jolt a little bit, do a little jump, and the water bottle ended up in my crotch. So, yeah, water bottle to the crotch. Fantastic. Open water bottle to the crotch, I should say. Not ideal. And like I already said, I was tired, okay? It was a long week in college. It was summer in Ireland, which is hot, which was hot, and it's hotter still if you're Irish and thus not accustomed to hot weather. I was fed up, I was done with everything, with life, and I just wanted to chill out on the train and mind my own business, listen to music, play Pokemon probably, and that was it. But this old guy wanted to share his life with me, and I didn't want to be mean to him because he seemed nice. Anyway, his water bottle ended up in my crotch, and what he did next was just so awkward. He was so apologetic. Like, he was a sweet old guy. You meet old people like that. They're the salt of the earth. They're really lovely, and I do like old people quite a bit. They got a lot to offer. A lot of stuff to say. And anyway, he reached into his little knapsack and he took out a big old wad of tissues and he started dabbing my crotch, hand right into my crotch, just like trying to soak up the water. And it wasn't working. Like, it's not going to work. The water is soaked in there, but he was committed. He was like, I am going to dry you, sir, young sir. I'm going to dry your pants for you. And I just had to know. I had to, like, I was like, no, just, this is my personal space. Just, it's okay. And like, really all I was thinking about was, okay, I've got to hide my crotch for the duration of the train journey and the walk home. I've got to just hide my crotch strategically, and hopefully no one will notice. But that was mortifying. The water in the crotch, shocking. Old man's hand with tissues to the crotch, also mortifying, and having to walk home like that, mortifying. So there's number 1. Number 2 happened when I was in China. I've been to China a fair amount, twice, and I spent about 2.5 months there in total. I lived there with my ex, and I also did a bit of teaching there. So one day we were in a cafe. I was in hospital, but we went to the cafe right after, and I was just chilling out. We played board games, kind of like a hipsterish cafe. We played board games there, and I ordered a caramel macchiato, which is disgusting, by the way. I like trying new things, you know, and that was like the newest thing to me on the menu that they had on offer there, and I was like, I'm gonna try these things. They seem all the rage, and people are always talking about them and making fun of people who drink them. So I'm gonna have one, and I had it, and it was disgusting. I couldn't finish it. It was really expensive too. So anyway, ex-girlfriend and I playing board games, and one of the staff members comes up to us. A young girl comes up to us and she starts talking to me. So she gets right into this like work, like you can tell someone has like a monologue worked out in their head and they're going through it. She has like this thing to say to me in her head, and she starts off really confident, and then her confidence kind of breaks. Now I'm under no illusions as to how good looking I am or how like imposing I am as a person. I haven't got a very strong presence and I don't think I'm very intimidating, but this girl started off very strong talking to me and eventually kind of broke down a little bit mid speech. So she's talking to me, she's like, hey, we have this promotion later, we're doing like an after party, you can come, there's free drinks, free refreshments, and you can hang out with us. And then eventually it's sort of like, when you're like, you see somebody like walking a tightrope or a rope bridge in a movie and they're like, don't look down, don't look down, don't look down. And then they look down and they can't stop thinking about the fact that they look down. It was kind of like this with her. It was kind of like, don't look at this person's face. Don't look at this person's face. Oh my god, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, this is awful. And she started to go really, really red. And she like clapped her hands to her face, but she didn't stop talking. And it was so painful. Like, I could just see her turning really, really bright red and getting so embarrassed, and like her voice started to crack and to give, but she kept on going. And like, I didn't want to make her misery worse, I didn't want to make this more or less painful than it needed to be made for her. So I just looked at her, like this, like, like politely listening, nodding along. Yes, I'm paying attention to you. I'm not smiling too much. I'm not like obviously aware. I'm not trying to point at the fact that I'm aware that she's super embarrassed right now. And she got through it all, and she was like, "Thank you," and she went away, and that was that. But it was so bad. Like, when you can, like, when you practically like step inside somebody's consciousness when they're going through a really embarrassing moment, and you're like, it's like an out of body experience, and you're just looking and you're watching, and it's just so painful. That was that. And I felt so sorry for her. Like, fair dues to her. Maybe it's hard for her to do stuff like that. For some people it is. For me, I think I would find it a bit hard too, to just straight away engage with new faces like that really confidently. And she still did it. She did her job. And I did not go to the promotion. But I respect her efforts, and I sympathize as well, because I know what it's like to feel awkward, to feel socially awkward. So there's that. But that was pretty embarrassing. Anyway, yeah, so number 3. This is crazy. So number 3 happened on a train platform, kind of like how number 1 happened, but it was really, really bad. So, get off the train, it's like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and I'm coming back to college as opposed to home from college. I'm moving, I had to, like in my last year of college, I had to move back up and down every weekend from home to where I was living during the week in college. And it was kind of a pain in the ass, but it was also fine, because the family was really nice and the rent was pretty cheap, so yeah, whatever. Anyway, so we got off the train, walked towards the exit, where you have to go through these like, electronic pillars or blockades, and you have to have a ticket to get through. So I started walking up the stairs when suddenly an arm grabs me from behind. And I freeze up a little bit. I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Now, I'm not too afraid of like physical confrontation. I used to do kickboxing and mixed martial arts and stuff like that. I'm used to having to defend myself and stuff like that. So I figured if it's someone who's gonna try and mug me, I'm gonna be fine. Like if they beat me up, I've been hurt before. If I can manage to scare them off, that's fine too. But it wasn't that. It was a very intense young lady who grabbed my arm. I turned around and I looked at her, and she locked eyes with me. Like, this is one of those people who favors an extreme amount, like an obnoxious amount of eye contact. And like, yeah, I'm a bit socially awkward, so it kind of like froze me up, and I was kind of like, oh, what do I do here? But yeah, she looked at me and she said this: "Are you have dickhead? Are you have dickhead?" And like, being socially awkward and having had frozen up in that moment, I didn't really recognized that what I was supposed to do was to ask her to repeat herself until I understood what she was saying. Instead, I allowed my brain to autocorrect what she was saying. She said, "Are you a dickhead?" which was an Italian accent masking the words, "Do you have a ticket?" Instead, I autocorrected it to, "Are you a dickhead? Are you a dickhead?" And I was like, why is this person calling me a dickhead? And I rewound in my head. I was like, maybe I bumped her on the way out of the train. Maybe I knocked her luggage over in the train. And I'm sorry if I did that, but like, I don't remember it. And I was like, what? Are you a dickhead? She said, are you a dickhead? Again and again and again. And I was like, oh, do you have a ticket? Because I knew what she wanted me to do immediately. She wanted me to use my ticket to get through the blockade and let her follow me really quickly so she didn't have to use her ticket, which she obviously didn't have. So I was like, yeah, just come with me, just come with me. So she let go of my arm, she started walking with me up the stairs. And this is where the really awkward part begins, because if it wasn't awkward already, it's about to get even worse. So she follows me up the stairs, and I'm an English teacher, okay? It's what I do for a living. Like, I've done a master's in it, I did other stuff in it, and I've got experience teaching children and stuff like that how to speak English. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to help her with the word tickets, because it sounds an awful lot like dickhead, and you could really offend somebody. Because, like, I didn't know what she was doing at first. I thought she was trying to wind me up or insult me randomly, and I was just like, what's happening here? There's a pretty big difference between those two words, and I don't want her to be causing confusion, so I thought, I'm going to help you. So I said, ticket to her, like, idiot, I'm such an idiot, but I still did it, and I have to own up to the fact that I did it, okay? I said, ticket to her, and she was like, right, I get it. And she went from calm and okay to pissed with me in like 0 seconds flat. It was like, I'm not an idiot, I know what the word is. And she stormed off, and she went through the barrier by herself because it was open anyway. I thought that was the end of it. Like, she was really angry with me. She was like, I know how to say the word ticket. Like, I'm not an idiot. And she swore, and she stormed off on me. So I was like, okay, I looked around, and a couple of people saw, and they were like laughing a little bit, and that was embarrassing by itself, and I was kind of like, okay, yeah, this is pretty awkward. And I just kept walking, and I walked towards home, towards the bus station to home. And that's when she grabbed me again. She grabbed me a second time from behind on the arm, and I turned around and I said, what? And I was terrified at this point, because I was expecting the next thing to happen was a knife to just travel through my throat and kill me. I expected to die when she did this, but I didn't. Instead, she started talking to me in the most terrifying way possible. She said, who are you? Who are you? And I said, I'm Luke. That's all I could think of. I said, I'm Luke. And she said, well, my name's blah blah, because I don't remember what she said. She said it very, very quickly. She said, my name's, let's say Michelle. My name's Michelle. And she's like, what do you do? And I said, I'm an English teacher. I'm a student. I teach English. And she was like, well, I'm a nurse. Now you know I'm not stupid. And then she roughly shook my arm a little bit and then like stormed off again. And I looked around and people were really staring this time, and they were like, what's happening here? And I was just like, and I walked in a different direction. I made sure to go in a different direction. She actually went in my direction, but I went somewhere else. And like, okay, I get it. I messed up, okay? I embarrassed her a little bit by trying to correct her English, but she handled it horribly, okay? She handled it horribly, like, you know, and I know what she was trying to go for. She was like, I'm a nurse, I'm a professional working woman, I am not a buffoon of some kind, I know how to speak English, and I'm aware that my English is actually not that great, my accent's quite thick, might be hard for you to understand me, but there's no need to make fun of me, which I didn't feel like I was doing, but that's beside the point. The way she handled it was so confrontational and so bizarre and scary that I just, like, I just felt so bad. I felt so wrong. I felt like I really hurt her, and I felt so bad about it. But I also felt so confronted and so violated, like the arm grabbing and the eye contact. It was just so, oh my god, it was just so overwhelming. I felt like I'd been dipped in like a vat of like acid or stickiness, and the awkward moment was just burning me, or like just sticking to my body in the most uncomfortable way. Like, it was just so physically, painfully uncomfortable and awkward, and I wanted to melt into the floor. I wanted to disappear. I wanted all the people who were looking at me to just disappear, or like to be able to teleport away, and I wanted her and that moment to just not exist at all, because that was painful. That was so biblically awful and painful that I wish I never experienced it. Yeah, that's it. So that's the video, guys. Hope you had a reasonably good time. Hope you thought some thoughts. And if you have any similar experiences or anything you think is more awkward, or just indeed awkward in general, please share it down below. Feel free to comment. And I will never bite. I'm delighted to hear from you. It would be really cool. And yeah, that's that. That's the video. So as always, take care.